Hey peeps, Tyler here, with a video about my reading journey with aphantasia. I know I've mentioned it before, but I wanted to make an updated all-in-one video for a while now, so yeah, I struggled with reading comprehension in school. I had no idea I had aphantasia. It wasn't even a word back then. From what I remember looking it up, it became a word in 2015. I graduated high school in 2007. Even though people that can't visualize in their heads were mentioned back in the 1880s. So it's been known for a long time that not everyone can see images in their head, aka mind's eye. It just didn't get a name until 2015, and without a name, most people don't know it's a thing, and because it involves the mind, even people with it don't know it's a thing, because as humans, we tend to think everyone thinks exactly like us. That brains are brains and only work one way, when nothing could be further from the truth, and we can't see inside anyone else's head. I was almost 30 when I learned the word aphantasia, a few years after it was coined. It blew my frickin' mind, and I had trouble believing it. So much of what I thought were metaphors were literal for most people. Like when people say, picture this, or visualize this in your head, I thought it was just a metaphor for think about. Of course, there were things that I couldn't even stretch to a metaphor, that I just brushed off completely because I couldn't get it to make sense. After all, no one can see images in their head when awake. That's pure Looney Tunes. So I thought. Turns out, the fact I don't see images in my head that aren't there makes me the weird one. Okay then. To explain how I think as best as I can for those that don't have aphantasia, I've heard it described like a desktop computer. You have the tower and the monitor. Pretend the monitor is hooked in, but the screen has been turned off, so it's blank. But if you press the button to turn the screen back on, you could see everything is still there and working just fine. My brain is the monitor. You can't see it, but the stuff is there and working just fine. Somebody just turned the button off, I guess, for the screen. It's like I have spatial awareness. I can think and even daydream. In fact, I daydreamed all the time growing up, and still do. I had no idea I was daydreaming differently than anyone else, that others could literally see their daydreams. How can I daydream? Simple. I just think of scenarios or whatever. Say there's a couple people. One person is standing here, another there, or maybe they're sitting on a couch. Like, I know what sitting on a couch is. I can't see any of it, but I can place the stuff in my head. Like it's behind a curtain and I know it's there. I just can't see it, but I can sort of feel it, but feel isn't the right word either. And I could kind of like here's... I could draw it for you, but it would just be like a rectangle for a couch and little stick figures for people. It's like the person is here and I can move it, sort of, but like... This probably doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense, but I'm trying to do the best I can. Unless, of course, your brain works like mine, in which case you understand what I'm trying to say. But anyway, I can think in words, and mostly do. Silent words. I don't hear anything in my head either, no actual sound, but I can think in words or in abstract thoughts, at least I think that's what it's called, where I just know what I'm thinking and saying it silently word for word isn't necessary. Of course, nothing has detail and no color because I can't see it. That's never mattered to me. I didn't know I thought differently after all, and my brain still works just fine. My imagination works just fine. That's something that bugs me, as someone who is always daydreaming and writing my own fictional stories. And reading, it bugs the hell out of me when people say aphantasia means you don't have an imagination. I promise you my imagination works perfectly well, thank you very much. No images or audible sound are required. I have heard so many stupid things from people without aphantasia about those that do have aphantasia. Downright ableist things, which to me makes no sense, because I was born with factoral association, aka a lot of medical issues. I am disabled, in more than one way. I have a playlist about factoral I'll link in the description if you're interested. But the point is, aphantasia is not a disability. Not to me. It doesn't stop me from doing anything. It doesn't cause me any pain. It doesn't shorten my lifespan. Nothing. I just think differently. And I still think just fine. So the fact that people can manage to be ableist about something that isn't even a disability, just because they don't understand it, honestly angers the hell out of me. There are famous artists with aphantasia, so don't give me that bullshit. I've heard so many fellow creative people with aphantasia, so don't give us that bullshit. So back to reading. I should mention After that, many people with aphantasia never struggle with reading at all. So this was just me. Just my own journey. I could read the words just fine. That wasn't the issue. I struggled remembering what I read. But thankfully, Goosebumps covers drew me like a moth to a flame during the Scholastic book fairs, and R.L. Stine showed me reading could be fun, even if I had trouble remembering stuff. And I saw my dad reading, so I wanted to read. Well, come 2015, at 26 years old, I said to hell with this. I'm going to figure out my issue with reading. I started with Harry Potter because I wasn't allowed to read it growing up. Then I found booktube and it spiraled from there, and over time I figured it out and got better. And this was a few years before I learned about aphantasia. So I figured my shit out before I knew I had aphantasia. I wasn't thinking about the stories as I read them growing up. Like I mentioned with the imagining in my daydreams, the spatial awareness that I was trying to describe, I didn't realize the way I thought about my daydreaming I could apply to reading. And that would help me. Because to do that, I had to slow down. I can read the words way faster than my brain can process what's going on. That's probably more of an autism thing than aphantasia. I just had to slow down. That's basically it. I also started annotating and reviewing every single book I read for years, actively engaging with every book. I no longer do that for every single book, but I'm really glad I did. Because I'm a much better reader now, it just took some practice. That's it. Practice and time. That and telling myself it's okay to do things I was told not to do in school, like reading sort of out loud, mouthing the words as I read them. I go back and forth now between silently reading in my head, silently reading each word in my head that is, and mouthing them out loud, but I whisper it, but I'm also alone, so who cares? It helps because reading in my head does actually get exhausting after a while, and sometimes certain words trip me up. I also run my finger, or a pencil, along as I read. That's my journey with aphantasia. I used to check out the aphantasia subreddit. I haven't looked at it in a very long time. But through that and other groups and videos by others with aphantasia, I realized that we're all different. Aphantasia doesn't mean anything, apart from not being able to visualize images in your head when you're awake. Most of us do dream visually, hence why I say it that way. I dream visually with sound and feeling and everything. I thought that was normal, the dream brain being weird as fuck, and the awake brain, only seeing reality right in front of your eyes. Apparently, the awake and sleep brain are different parts of your brain. I'm not a scientist. I do struggle to remember my dreams. However, I've noticed that I can remember more when I smoke less weed. So there's that. Since I can't bring them up in my head once I'm awake, maybe that contributes, I don't know. Weed definitely does, though. I also don't know I'm asleep when I'm dreaming. Well, I figured it out once, maybe twice, which was weird, but I couldn't control anything. 99.99% of the time, I don't know I'm dreaming until I wake up. Dreams seem 100% real no matter what, though my dreams are generally pretty realistic anyway. So that's my journey with aphantasia. Do you have aphantasia? Let me know, or if you have any questions in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.